Pregnant Inmates, a presentation by Aurora, Schuyler, Stephanie, and Kelly. Why is this inmate population important to research? A huge problem that often goes undiscussed is the fact that there isn't a lot of research or studies done on incarcerated women who are pregnant. There's some research, of course, but little to none go into the difficulty that these women face and whether or not the prison or jail they reside in is doing their best to properly care for the women and their unborn babies. Most studies actually mention how detrimental and appalling it is that there is so little research on this population of inmates. It's important as well to be able to help inform correctional facilities on proper accommodations, such as how to transport women who are in labor, increase staff awareness, and ensure the proper medical care. What are the specific needs of this population of inmates? Pregnant women need a number of things to stay healthy, including additional calories at mealtime, appropriate prenatal care, and special housing, not to mention the doctor visits to check on the baby and the mother. There is actually little known about prenatal care in prisons. A 2010 report from the Rebecca Project found that at the time, 38 states actually had no policies in place to give women basic prenatal care, and 41 states had no prenatal diets. If these women aren't getting the basic care they need, both them and the babies could get sick. It's important for these prisons to provide basic care as these babies deserve the chance to grow and be healthy. In addition, it would be beneficial to invest in monitoring systems as each pregnancy is different, and there could be numerous amounts of complications. These women could die if these complications occur, if there is no one there to watch out for them. Along with the problems of properly caring for pregnant women in prisons, there is a large racial disparity to deal with. Hispanic and Black women who are pregnant in prison get treated even worse with inadequate prenatal care, health complications, and a higher number of maternal mortality. While this is sad, it is not entirely surprising. Black and Hispanic women make up the largest populations in prison. In 2014, the imprisonment rate for Black women was twice the rate for white women. Furthermore, there is a wide disparity between pregnant women in prisons and those in jail. These terms are unfortunately used interchangeably when talking about this subject, so a lot of valuable information is lost along the way. The differences between prisons and jails could affect how healthcare is handled.
Recent statistics have shown that women are the fastest growing correctional population. In 2013 alone, approximately 1,300 women in the United States were incarcerated. Of the female inmate population, at any given time, 6% are pregnant in prison. Being in prison is already a terrible experience, but is so much worse for pregnant women. Incarcerated pregnant women need prenatal care, proper nutrition, proper medical exams, and treatment, which oftentimes isn't adequate in prison. Pregnant women's health-related needs are often underserved. There are no mandatory standards of care for incarcerated pregnant women in the United States. During pregnancy, many women suffer from nausea, acid reflux, and morning sickness. This can cause difficulty eating. Prisons are often inflexible with timing, portions, and types of meals. In most instances, if a pregnant woman doesn't eat at the scheduled time, she will often not eat until they serve the next meal. Folic acid and iron are extremely important during pregnancy because they protect the fetus from negative birth outcomes such as neural tube defects, low birth weight, and prematurity. Despite their importance, the recommended levels of folic acid and iron are often not met in meals served in correctional settings, and many facilities fail to provide prenatal vitamins, which serve as an important dietary supplement of folic acid and iron. A lot of these pregnancies are considered high risk due to the economic and social problems that led them to be incarcerated, such as poverty, lack of education, inadequate health care, and substance abuse. The rate of incarcerated pregnant women is growing, and it is imperative to realize that failing to provide preventative and curative health care for these women may cost more to society than funding programs that may provide attachment and parenting behaviors, facilitate drug rehabilitation, and reduce recidivism among this population. Inmates are almost immediately separated from their babies after birth, so these women have to figure out who will care for their child while they are still in prison. Most often, these women appoint a family member to care for their child, or their child is placed in foster care. Some women make adoption plans or use a prison nursery program. Prison nursery programs allow eligible women to keep their babies with them in prison. These babies live in special housing units with their incarcerated mothers anywhere from 1 to 18 months. Prison nursery programs are only in 9 states: California, Illinois, Indiana, Massachusetts, Nebraska, New York, Ohio, Washington, and West Virginia. It has been found that nursery programs can strengthen the mother child bond, improve parenting abilities, and improve health outcomes for both women and their babies, as well as reduce recidivism. Because these nurseries are only found in 9 states, incarcerated pregnant women are forced to find a caregiver. Some incarcerated pregnant women may choose to have an abortion, but oftentimes they are faced with many obstacles, such as difficulties arranging an appointment and lack of transportation. They also must cover the costs associated with an abortion, including the procedure itself. Incarcerated women usually do not have any way to cover their expenses and are still forced to appoint a caregiver to their baby.
As we know, prisons neglect pregnant women in their healthcare policies. This is a huge problem, as 3% of female inmates in America are pregnant, and this number is continuing to rise as the mass incarceration of women continues in America. So, what are the state and federal systems doing to combat the neglect that incarcerated pregnant women are experiencing? Recently, the National Commission on Correctional Healthcare published a set of standards for care for these pregnant inmates. These include specialized medical care, prenatal care, and protocols to follow. However, these guidelines are often disregarded in a lot of states, and there is yet no way for those standards and the providing care to be tracked and documented within the prison system. There has been, however, human advocacy groups that have been formed to fight for the rights for these pregnant inmates. Most notably is the Rebecca Project for Human Rights. They fight for the justice, dignity, and policy reform for vulnerable girls in the United States, including mothers behind bars. They are bringing to light the poor policies that are put into place, as well as a grading score of each state's policy for pregnant women. A great community program for pregnant mothers that the Rebecca Project supports is the Pennsylvania Maternity Care Coalition's Mom Mobile. In this program, which was founded in 2006, they provide services for incarcerated mothers in prison, along with care management during the transition to community life. The program, based inside Philadelphia's Riverside Correctional Facility, delivers education, support, and rehabilitation education in preparation for families with collaboration within their communities. The mothers and their new families can continue their care up to 1 year after their release. By doing this program, it ensures that the mother forms a positive and loving relationship with their child and develops strong ties within their community. The results of this program have shown to decrease the recidivism rate by 23%. It also shows that 2/3 of the participants showed improved knowledge of prenatal, postpartum, and child-related issues as a result of the program. The Mom Mobile staff is also starting a doula program within their projects that immensely benefits mother-child bonding and health. Another great thing about this program is also the support it shows for the caregivers of the children who are born to incarcerated mothers who still remain in prison. This includes childcare and safe child placement of that baby. But even with this great success, this program has shown, and with multiple attempts to go nationwide, the Department of Justice turned down this program for any funding.
When it comes to correctional programming for incarcerated pregnant women, the biggest thing to note is that there is very little. What programming is put in place is often not followed. This leads many of these women without proper care and suffering neglect as they endure pregnancy behind bars. Pregnancy itself is difficult, but women who carry children while incarcerated are always considered high risk pregnancies, as they often suffer from substance abuse problems or have endured abuse that led to said pregnancy. One of the biggest things to note about incarcerated pregnancy is that while there are guidelines put into place, they are not guaranteed. For example, Arizona put diet guidelines and amenities for pregnant women in place in 2018. However, when a Tucson jail was inspected, these guidelines were not being followed. The diet plan stated that pregnant inmates were to receive 2 extra servings of fruit and vegetables, as well as an extra serving of milk for calcium, or calcium tablets for those who were lactose intolerant. However, when the Tucson prison was inspected, inmates were receiving only an extra carton of milk and a PB&J for extra nutrition. Guidelines being blatantly ignored can also be seen with the First Step Act of 2018, which was supposed to restrict shackling of pregnant inmates. Shackling of the hands and feet behind a woman's back leaves the belly fully exposed, and many women fall with no way to catch themselves and protect their baby. The First Step Act was enacted in order to prevent this, however, it was ignored by many prisons, and women and infants were still put under distress by shackles. Incarcerated expectant mothers have to experience solitary confinement, dietary neglect, and medical neglect in general. They are unable to decide how they want to give birth, often being assigned C sections against their will. These women are also forced to carry these pregnancies, as abortions have been denied to them. According to the Constitution, it is a right for these women to choose whether or not they want an abortion. However, because of political opinions of the correctional facility officials, abortions can be denied to these women, forcing them to carry pregnancies to term in horrid conditions. In Jensen's 2021 article, Pregnancy During Incarceration, A Serious Medical Need, an account of a woman, Diana Sanchez, describes her birth experience while incarcerated. She started experiencing contractions in the early morning and ended up giving birth to her baby in a dirty cell many hours later. Her baby did not receive medical attention until many hours after birth when they were finally transferred to the hospital. This is the case for many other incarcerated women, as proper medical guidelines are not followed in jail. There are correctional programming options for women, but they are not federal and are often limited to a county. An example of a good program for incarcerated women is the Moms Plus program. This program is located in Kings County, Washington, and serves to help substance abusing incarcerated women. As stated before, women who are incarcerated during pregnancy are considered high risk for a multitude of reasons. They are often addicted to substances, victims of domestic abuse, and have a plethora of mental problems that go untreated. This, mixed with the fact that they are incarcerated in often subpar conditions, leads to high risk pregnancies. The Moms Plus program focuses on getting assistance for women in these situations. It provides medical assistance and substance treatment programs to pregnant inmates. This program also offers assistance to women who aren't incarcerated as well, so it extends to women who get released from prison during their pregnancy. They aim to help women change their lives and try to put a stop to recidivism, as well as making sure that women are taken care of during their pregnancies while incarcerated. They also offer postpartum services to make the afterbirth experience much less traumatic for both the mother and the baby. Their main goal is to offer services to disadvantaged women, make sure they are properly taken care of, and lessen child protective services getting involved. They help to make sure that pregnant inmates have access to the proper resources to care of both themselves and their soon to be born child. This program was established in the 1990s as a 5-year program in order to help at risk women. However, it has progressed and helped over 400 women annually.